It's a confusing situation, and I say that having tried to understand it for many weeks now. But the memorandum of understanding is now cloaked by a lot of misunderstanding, and you have huge gaps between the rhetoric of J.D. Vance, who is in Switzerland, and the rhetoric of his boss, the President of the United States. And in the midst of all this, we've had quadrilateral talks involving the US and Iran and Qatar and Pakistan, although it's not quite clear how much Pakistan was involved in that. There's now talks between Iran and Qatar, and it appears as if Iran may not actually resume talks again today. And in the midst of all this, I'm hearing that Iran has now lodged what they're considering a formal complaint against the conduct of the American president. So on the face of it, frankly, it's not going all that well. So let's have a look at a Truth Social post that was put out by Donald Trump. Said this: Iran must immediately stop their highly paid proxies in Lebanon from causing trouble. If they don't, we'll hit Iran very hard again, just like we did last week, only harder. I think what is notable about that is that if you refer back just a few days to the deal that was agreed between the United States and Iran, within the first clause of that is an agreement on all sides to end the conflict, to not attack, and to not make a threat. And Iran is saying that prima facie, the President of the United States is threatening Iran and is thus already in breach of his own deal. We are slightly in this kind of Kafkaesque Alice in Wonderland world, I think, with these talks at the moment about people saying completely contradictory things. So let's try to scrape a little bit of this back. This deal, this memorandum of understanding, was agreed. Largely, a lot of people in the Gulf, particularly here in Israel, thought that it was a terrible deal for them, that it was an American capitulation to just about everything that Iran wanted, that Iran could end up with control of the Strait of Hormuz, no reduction in its ballistic missiles, talks about a nuclear program being kicked into the long grass and getting a huge amount of money for not doing really very much. The Americans, in the space of J.D. Vance, are saying that this is an opportunity for a complete reset of the Middle East, and have criticised Israel for what they have considered a ongoing belligerent attitude, and saying that you can't simply kill your way out of every problem, and actually sort of tacitly threatening a weapons embargo against Israel, saying most of the weapons that you are using are produced by American hands and paid for by American tax dollars. And that leads us to these talks in Switzerland, the angry atmosphere there at the moment. Now, there is no significant signs of violent conflict in Lebanon at the moment. But of course, that battle is between Israel and Hezbollah, which is backed by Iran. And Israeli sources that I've spoken to today say that they have no intention of withdrawing forces from the huge area of southern Lebanon they occupy. And also, and this has been reiterated by Benjamin Netanyahu just this afternoon, that their focus is entirely on making sure, in his words, that Iran can never have a nuclear weapon. And in Israeli minds, neither of those two things has been addressed by this deal, and they're not going to change their attitude.